Hi, my name's Simon Quattrocchi. I'm from GV Finance Brokers, and I've put this little pod series together to give you information about what the finance industry is about and how to go about some of the home loans that are available to you. So I hope you enjoy this podcast series.
All right, welcome to episode number 1 of the GV Finance podcast. Today I am here with Simon Quattrocchi, owner of the GV Finance Brokers. And today, this episode is all going to be about talking broking. So we're talking about why would you use a broker over a bank, the benefits and the reason for making that a focus whenever you are looking at any kind of lending, essentially. So Simon, welcome to the episode.
No problem. Thank you, Anthony.
So let's start right there. Let's start with why would somebody use a broker over a bank? What are the benefits? What's the reasoning behind it?
No, good question, Anthony. There's many reasons. One thing that people may not know that people are using finance broking now more and more often. So now finance brokers account for 70% of all home loans written in Australia. And only 30% towards the banks directly. So it's a big change, and it's a big change in the way clients are interacting in regards to getting the home loans, and that's only going to improve.
One of the things, like when we're looking at lending, you can often, of course, think of the bank first, and then you might already have an existing relationship. You might already have accounts or some kind of lending with A, B, C bank, and that's kind of maybe one of the first places that people would look to go and get further information or talk about whatever kinds of lending they need next. But again, I think there are so many benefits with a broker, and let's dive into some of what those benefits might actually be, as opposed to going directly to the bank. What does the broker offer?
One of the major difference is flexibility and choice. They're two significant things that are coming out in the industry.
Yep.
So flexibility, for starters, is we're not a 9 to 4 p.m. access.
Sure.
So we have definitely better flexibility in regards to that. So our appointments can help cater for earlier appointments, more evening appointments if required. I even have to occasionally look after clients on the weekends as well, because sometimes their work doesn't cater for them to be able to get in on a schedule that's suitable to them. And that's fine by me as well, because I make my times a little bit flexible as well. So that makes life a little easier.
Perfect.
Going on, the other one was a product selection as well. Product selection, we just don't have the one bank and the one choice of products that they offer. We have on my panel up to 25 lenders, so that gives you quite a variety of both, not only a choice of bank or lender, but a choice of products out there as well.
And I think that's a key point of difference in that with access to so many different lenders, it's essentially you have access to condense the time that it would take for somebody to approach 30 different lenders individually. You can condense that down and do that work for your client, and also get the better array of options, because you're in the industry day in and day out, so you know what's going on, you know what kind of offers are going to be best suited for your particular client, and then you can approach the correct lender for that. So
that is correct.
Huge amount of time saving there.
Very, very much so. And what's been introduced in, when was it? Let me just quickly double check that. It was January of 2021, which was a change in the Act where brokers are required to act in the best interest of the client. So we're compelled to do the right thing by you, by law. So the one thing we have to do is, when we go through all our processes, we have to try and make the best recommendation we can to you that is the most suitable product for you.
Yes.
So, and that's part of the processes that have changed, and that's what has increased the level of finance broking activity out there, that now we hold 70% of the market.
And I suppose a good way to look at it as well is, using an accountant or a lawyer. Like, there is a professional services there, people who have the qualifications and the industry knowledge. You go to them for a reason, to get the job done properly and get it done right. And it's no different with using a broker on the finance side of things either.
That's right. You have to have the correct education. You have to have and you've got to have the correct licensing, insurances, as per any professional industry out there.
So what are some of the differences that brokers offer over the banks?
One of probably the biggest differences is education. We're not just about, you come in, we'll get you the home loan. that it doesn't work that way anymore. What we're about is when the client comes in, we want to educate them about the different types of lenders out there, the products out there. But it's not just about that. We want clients to come in not only to be able to choose the right lender, choose the right product, but we need them to understand how their actual transaction is going to actually occur, what funds they're going to require, if they're purchasing, they're going to need a conveyancer, what's going to be involved in that, insurances, etc. So one key difference also is about the education is, especially for example, a first home buyer, you might go to a bank. Now, grants and are not available to every single bank out there. So you could go to ABC Bank. They've got no grants, no ability to offer you a better product. They've only got their product only. And as a result, that's all they're going to sell you. They're not going to go say, hey, go down here to this particular bank and they'll be able to give you a cheaper rate and look after you on fees and so forth. That's not what they're about. We hear about educating you. So we're going to get an understanding of what you're about. And if you're, for example, as I said, I'm using an example, first home buyer, and you're going to be entitled to the guarantee scheme where you can save on interest, save on LMI and save on some fees, we're going to direct you to the right lender to best fit you for your purpose of buying that particular home.
And I think that's such a great point as well, because as an individual, as a consumer, you only know what you know, and if you're not in the industry day in and day out, and if you don't know all the ins and outs, then there are generally going to be things that you miss or opportunities that you don't take advantage of simply because you don't know about it. So again, that's another key point where again the broker has such great value to provide in that sense. So what are some of the other differences in terms of the process when using a broker?
One of the processes we use is that we like to try and collect all the information as we possibly can up front. We send out our consent for you to sign because we obviously need permission to collect your information, but we like to gather as much of what the bank's going to require up front. We don't like to be trying to collect it after an actual application. And the reason for this is we're trying to select the right product for you. And we're also trying to make sure that that if there is anything in there that we think we need to change or help you gather further information or save a little bit more, we can get you in the right position to actually apply for that home loan. So part of that is we'll ask for pay slips, we'll ask for extra verification and bank statements and commitment statements because we want to see what your actual position is. The reason we do this is when we apply for an application on your behalf and submit it, we want to be able to try and get that approved once, not, oh yeah, it didn't work this time, let's try another lender. We're not about that. We like to gather the information, make the right recommendation and get you approved with that home loan as your first choice.
Fantastic. And part of that, being upfront and transparent as well, perhaps there's some credit card debt, perhaps there's some, buy now, pay later accounts, just making sure that all of that information that you do provide to your broker is accurate and upfront and transparent means that whole process gets done much faster. And you can also use that information to find the right lender from the start.
So it is trying to make it a little bit more of a seamless transaction. We're actually finding now that there are a few lenders that are preferring the option of putting the application in for a straight approval rather than a pre-approval process where they do pre-approve your loans. Sorry, tongue-tied there. But that process is taking a little bit longer because they're relying on brokers that they know what they're doing. So they're going to submit that application with all the correct documentation so it can go from A to Z a lot more seamlessly.
And does the education piece cover anything else?
Yeah, it does. The education, especially around costs. Clients sometimes get misinformation and I've read it in the papers as well and in the news that especially around some of the schemes, it's just said, you need a 5% deposit and that gets you into your house. That's not 100% correct because they've failed to highlight the fact that you still might actually have your transfer costs, you still got some legal fees in there, you might still have some rates adjustment in there and so forth. So you might be buying a property, say, for $500,000 and think all you need is $25,000 and that's it. And you get caught out that, no, there was actually a little bit more involved. So we're trying to educate you around all the aspects of what's involved in that transaction and what you're going to need at the end.
And what about the conveyancing side of things? I think that can sometimes be a bit of a grey area or some unknowns as well, especially for first home buyers. So can you talk to us about the conveyancing side of things?
Well, the conveyancer is the person that will actually transfer the property into your name and actually execute that contract on your behalf. So they will handle everything required to effectively help you purchase that property and transfer the property into your name, make sure that the funds are transferred correctly, help balance it off in conjunction with us for arranging the finance for you. They do a lot of stuff in the background, but they also read the contracts. So part of that is check the fine print. Is there anything that they need to bring to your attention? Are you going to get caught out for some reason because there's a little tricky clause in there? That's what they're there. They're to represent to you to make sure that when you buy that property, that you're not going to end up with a property, but all of a sudden, there's an issue, but that was overlooked, or I didn't realise, or that's caught me out now.
Again, they're working in your best interests as well.
Yes, very much so.
And how about reviews? You mentioned reviews. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, reviews are done every year, but we can do them earlier as well because clients ring us up earlier in the piece as well, especially now that interest rates have been going up. So we're getting clients calling us a little bit earlier to see what can be done or can we help them out. But what we do is on the anniversary of the home loan settlement, and this is every year, so this is not just the first year, we send you out an email to review your home loan, and this is not necessarily refinance, change it, or whatever it is. Just to make sure that you're still happy with the current home loan that you've got, or has the interest rates changed? Can we do anything around the interest rates? Now, in regards to reviews, we also automatically do rate reviews for you as well. So part of that is so that if we've known that the rates have come down a little bit, but you're still in a slightly higher rate because of competition, then we'll generally approach the lender on your behalf and try and get that rate knocked down a little bit for you as well at the same time. And we've done a lot of those last 6 months.
Yes, can imagine. Exactly. Fantastic. And so if anybody is considering working with a broker, can you elaborate a little bit further on what that process is like? Again, perhaps they're a first home buyer, they haven't had an experience with a broker before. What is going to happen? What's the process from the time where they book an appointment with you and then they come in to speak about any particular type of lending? What's the process look like for that individual or that that group of people?
Yeah, no problem. Every broker has a little bit of a different process. Our process is that we have our receptionist, Shannon. She'll generally send an email out with a privacy consent, and she'll send a list of documents that require to be collected as part of the submission of your application. Now, part of the reason we get this as well is that I like to review it before you come in. So that way I can actually start working out your income, start doing some calculations so that the basics have already been done. The reason I do this is when you come in for an appointment is not for the purpose of just going over your documents. I want to have a discussion with you as the client of what you want to do, right? I want to discuss you, what you want to purchase, and how we're going to go about doing that, not spend half an hour emailing docs or collecting docs and reviewing, trying to calculate it. I'd like to have that done for you first up, so that way I can spend more time on you.
And then from that point, once that first meeting has gone through, you've got all the documents in place, you understand what the client's needs are. What happens from there? Once
we've done the calculations and we've determined the type of product that you're after, and we've determined who you are as well. So are you a first home buyer? Are you looking to build? Are you looking to refinance? Are you looking to do a home upgrade? So once we've determined what your objective is, then we can start making recommendations based on what your actual contribution is. So it could be first home buyer, what your savings is, what if you're doing a home upgrade and you're selling your house, what your sale proceeds will be. So from there, we can start coming up with some recommendations. So from those recommendations, after we've discussed the different lenders and the different products out there, then we can bring up the under what we call the bid, best interest duty, the first 4 or 5 recommendations of lenders that would provide you the most suitable product at that time. Hopefully, you can say, that's the lender I want.
Sure.
Okay, but we're there to guide you as well. So, but yeah, we generally hope to get to that point where we've given you enough information you can actually hopefully select the product for yourself.
Fantastic. Excellent. That's great. And what sort of is there? I mean, again, I suppose the time that this would take is, it changes depending on different circumstances. But again, is there the benefits of using a broker as well? Generally speaking, the process is going to be quicker and more seamless, and potentially get your loan faster because as the broker, you can put all those pieces in place and get them right the first time, like you mentioned.
One of the questions that we do ask is, when do we need this loan approved by? And I know it's an important question because sometimes you can have a finance clause that says, oh no, 4 weeks is fine or 2 weeks is fine. So part of the selection process is we try to understand how fast do we need this transaction to actually happen as well. So we change our process slightly in regards to that as well. And part of that is that of all the lenders we have on our panel, we actually have their timeframes in which they're approving home loans. So we have lenders that we can put a home loan in, and if you fit that criteria, they might have that approval done within a day. That's provided we've got all the documentation, contracts, valuations back. But we have lenders at the moment that are taking nearly 3 weeks just to pick up your actual application. So, for example, you might turn around and say, hey, I would like to go with that bank. However, I'd have to mention, just so you're aware, they're taking 3 weeks to process an application, and we only have 2 weeks to get your finance approved. So part of that is not only understand the tracks, we've got to understand what the banks are and how they're tracking as well at the same time.
Great point. And then in terms of once the selections are there for the client in order to select the loan, the bank that they want to go with, when does the broking process end? Like how far do you go with each individual client, and sort of when does that process wrap up with the broker?
For us, the process doesn't end. It just continues to go. So even though the loan may have settled, as I was mentioning before, we still review your home loan every 12 months. So it's an ongoing thing, basically.
Ongoing relationship.
We'll always try and review your home loans, always trying to make sure that everything is in place. So not only that, you got to remember, we're going through hard times at the moment. Interest rates are rising. So at the moment, our relationship with our clients is more important than ever. So we're doing a lot of rate reviews. We've got clients in mortgage distress because they may have taken a rate out of 2% at the moment, and now they're sitting at just under 6%. So that's created additional stress. So it is an ongoing thing, and we're trying our best to work out how can we find a solution for you. Can we get the interest rate shaped down a little bit for you? Maybe we can reduce that payments a little bit, see what we can do to help you. And sometimes it comes down to that you might have taken a loan out 2 years ago, but you've got 2 credit cards, a personal loan. The great thing is equity has increased in a lot of those properties, so at least you've got that. And we look at a way, can we refinance, consolidate that, get your overall monthly payment down to a smaller amount. So there's a lot of processes.
So based on all of that, and it all sounds fantastic, you've got essentially a partnership there where the broker can help you, find the best loan and then continue to review that over time, build on that partnership. What for those who may not be fully aware, what's the cost of a broker? What's the cost to the individual? How does that whole process work?
90% of the time or 99% of the time, there's no fee from us. The banks will pay us a commission for arranging that loan for you. And to give you an idea, we disclose those commissions up front to you. So when you sign the paperwork with us, you'll know exactly how much we're getting paid. I even go as far as that if you want to know how it all works, we've got a little matrix that gets sent to us, and you'll actually generally see that the difference between lender to lender is pretty much the same. The margins are within about 5% of each other. So when it comes to us receiving a commission, I like to say that it makes no difference to us, because if we go ABC or DEF bank, it's pretty much the same for us. So we like to recommend what's going to suit you.
So based on that, I mean, there's no surprise then that 70% of the market now is people using brokers, because essentially you are able to tap into that expert who is going to look after you and your best interests all the way through, and then it's the bank commission that is the one that's paying the broker. So it does make sense, and there's huge benefits for using a broker. So why not?
From our office, we've got, I've been a broker for 21 years. One of my assistants, who's a loan writer, she's been in the bank industry over 35 years. So overall, our office has something like over 70 years worth of actual experience in the finance industry. Yeah. So it's a lot of years, and that combined industry expertise does help amazingly.
Yeah. And again, to cover off on all of that, you're not just helping somebody organise their loan, you're also helping to manage all the other components as well.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Excellent. Simon, is there anything else that we need to add?
No, I think we've covered a lot there, haven't we?
We have. Fantastic. Excellent. All right, Simon, thank you very much for your time on this first episode. Looking forward to the next one, and we'll speak to you then.
Thank you for listening to the GV Finance Podcast. New episodes will be live each month, so stay tuned for up-to-date information about all things finance. Please subscribe on your preferred podcast platform and share on your social media channels.